If you've been scrolling through endless lists of food processors, watching videos of chefs chopping onions in a flash, and still feel stuck wondering which model actually makes sense for your kitchen, you're not alone. That hesitation is real, especially when you think about carving out counter space, budgeting for a device that might sit unused, and the nightmare of buying something that just can't handle the recipes you love. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm going to walk through exactly why the robot Coupe R101P Plus might be the answer to those questions, or why it could be a mismatch for you. First off, let's get clear on the problem most home cooks face. You need a processor that does more than just puree a soup. You want a machine that can slice, dice, shred, and handle tougher veggies without turning everything into a mush. At the same time, you don't want a commercial-grade beast that dominates the counter and costs a small fortune. The R101P Plus sits right in that sweet spot, big enough to feed a family, but compact enough to store in a standard kitchen cabinet. Now, who should actually consider this unit? If you're a serious home chef, a small business owner who needs to prep salads for a cafe, or anyone who regularly makes large batches of hummus, pesto, or nut butter, the 1.9-liter bowl size is a genuine advantage. That volume lets you toss a full head of cauliflower or a bag of carrots in one go, which saves you the back and forth most other home-size processors force you into. The clear polycarbonate bowl also means you can watch the progress without opening the lid, a small detail that makes a big difference when you're trying to avoid overprocessing a delicate sauce. Conversely, if you're the type who only makes a quick salsa or a single smoothie a day, you might find the R101P a bit overkill. The footprint, even though it's not massive, still requires a dedicated spot on the countertop. And while the clear bowl is a nice visual cue, it's also a little more fragile than a stainless steel one, which could be a concern if you have kids around or tend to drop things. Let's talk about the practical strengths that show up once you actually start using it. The stainless steel blade is the workhorse here. In my experience, that blade is capable of cutting through frozen fruit for smoothies just as easily as it shreds raw carrots for a slaw. The blade's shape creates a swirling motion that keeps ingredients moving, which prevents the common problem of food piling up at the bottom and needing to be manually scraped out. That's a real time saver when you're juggling multiple dishes. Another feature that matters in everyday cooking is the pulse function. Whether you're aiming for a coarse grind of nuts or a textured salsa, the pulse gives you direct control. I've found that using pulse for garlic and ginger gives a more aromatic result than a continuous grind, because the pieces stay larger and release their oils more gradually. The same goes for creating breadcrumb-like croutons from stale bread. The pulse lets you stop before the pieces turn into powder. The vegetable prep function with internal ejection is a clever bit of engineering that reduces the mess factor. After you've shredded cabbage for coleslaw, you can push the ejection button and the bowl tips forward, allowing you to dump the contents directly into a bowl without lifting the heavy bowl itself. This not only keeps the countertop cleaner, but also cuts down on the strain of lifting a full bowl of processed food, a subtle but appreciated ergonomic perk if you're doing a lot of prep. Now, every product has its trade-offs, and the R101P Plus is no different. The first thing you'll notice is the noise level. Because it's designed to handle dense ingredients, the motor sits at a respectable 120 V, which translates to a louder operation compared to smaller, less powerful processors. If you have an open-plan kitchen or thin walls, you might find the hum a bit intrusive, especially during early morning prep. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to factor in if you're sensitive to kitchen noise. Another point to consider is the cleaning process. The clear polycarbonate bowl is dishwasher safe, but the blade and the internal ejection mechanism require a bit of manual rinse to avoid food particles getting trapped. The blade is sharp, so you'll want to handle it carefully, especially if you're not used to cleaning food processor blades. This isn't a major hurdle, but it does add a couple of extra minutes to the post-cooking routine. When it comes to durability, the stainless steel construction of the blade and the overall housing suggests a longer lifespan than many entry-level models. However, the polycarbonate bowl, while sturdy, is more prone to scratching than a full metal bowl would be. In a busy kitchen, where you might be processing acidic foods like tomatoes daily, you could eventually see a slight clouding of the bowl. That doesn't affect performance, but it does affect the